this equation, once we isolate the absolute value, we want to consider the positive and negative versions of the inside function. So the absolute value is isolated, so I'm going to look at the positive version. So the inside x minus 5 could equal the positive version of 3x plus 2, or it could equal the opposite. So the x minus 5 can equal the opposite of that, so 3x plus 2. Now, technically, one of these, although I've labeled this positive, negative, depending on the domain, the outside can be negative or positive. So we're not actually quite sure, but this is, as long as we label one positive, one negative, we can solve for the two versions of this problem. So solving for x, I'm going to end up with negative 7 equals 2x. X equals negative 3.5. Here we end up with negative 3x. Let me expand the brackets first. Negative 3x minus 2. So I end up with 4x is equal to positive 3. Divide both sides. X is equal to positive 3/4. So I have my two solutions here. I do have to check for extraneous solutions. So when I plug it back in, my check. So x equals negative 3.5. When I substitute it in, I get negative 8.5 absolute value is equal to, this is going to be negative 10.5 plus 2. And so we're going to have 8.5 equals negative 8.5. Okay, so that's extraneous. So this one is extraneous. Okay, so this one here, we check this one. So x equals 3/4. Plug it in. We're going to end up with negative 4.25 on this side. Absolute value. We plug in 3/4 into here. We end up with, that's going to be 9/4 plus 2. So this is 4.25 equals, that's going to be 2.25 plus 2. That checks. That's our solution. Now, one is extraneous, one isn't. And when we take a look at this graph, if I were to graph this, this has a v function. The intersect is at 5. The other function is 3x plus 2. Okay, so it's going to be some steep slope that looks like this. And we're going to have some solution here like that. Okay, so this solution here, based on the shape of this, we can see that this should only have one solution. Now, again, although this is not a huge issue, so we don't need to worry about this too much. Although I labeled this positive and negative, this could actually be the opposite, depending on the value of x that we end up with in here. Now we can test it, but really this ends up to be the outside restrictions, which we're not going to worry too much about for now. We're going to worry more about the inside restrictions. And the outside restrictions we'll take a look at later on, maybe in grade 12.